but also made me realize that sometimes what can look like a weakness can become a strength.
Dr. Anna, how did you go from this concept, this idea of a podcast called Mindset Zone to skyrocketing it to the top 1%? And there are millions of podcasts out there. So to become a top 1% podcast is not, you can't buy it. You have to earn it. What are some of the things that set you apart, your messaging apart? I mean, these brilliant insights you've just given us, I can only imagine, once somebody hears one of your episodes, they're going to lock in and want to keep staying there, but it's attracting them to that very first episode. Well, what are some of the things that you did that helped you skyrocket to that level?
Is being prepared and be the right time. The right time, I start my podcast, The Mindset Zone, in 2014, when the market was not as crowded as it is today. That is the first thing. But being prepared, I really did my homework to have quality in the recording, even at the time. And I was producing at the time everything together. And there was not the technology that we have today, 10 years later. So I was doing a lot, but I was with a good standard. And when I launched the podcast, I also studied the best way of launch and got the experts to help me. And I really leveraged the connection capital that I had built in my professional life and even in my personal life too. So I ask people to comment, to rate it, to listen, to spread the word about, to connect. I connect with other podcasters. So I did all the basic things that we have to do. And at the time I was in number one in the iTunes, in all the categories that the podcast was listed. I managed to be in the number one spot during that initial 2 months launch. Nowadays, it's much more difficult because there are much bigger players on the game. My podcast is an independent podcast, like most podcasts in the coaches, consultants, and the authors world. So, but we still can make a tremendous impact out there. And the thing for me is, if you decide to do a podcast, or is to be on the long run on this, to be something that you are passionate about, that is related with your business, that you can leverage that way through being out there in terms of visibility, and you can week after week after week put quality content out there. Because even if you never reach the numbers to be in the top 1%, you still can reach the right people. And that is the key. Even if it's a small group, are you reaching the people that connect with you? And do not let what the people think, but you don't have your book out yet, or you are not recognized in that area yet. Or in my case was my accent. You intuitively will be a podcast audio, because my podcast is just audio. With my accent be the right fit for me? And it worked and I had improved in these last 10 years. I did a lot of work in improving my pronunciation and to try to speak in a more clear way. And as a speaker, I benefit from that work when I'm on stage. But also made me realize that sometimes what can look like a weakness can become a strength. Because maybe if I meet somebody in a networking event, maybe they don't remember my name, but it's the one with the accent. And the people that I connect, they usually say, oh, she has a lovely accent. And I had to lay to rest that there always are going to be people that is going to be a barrier in the communication. There is always going to be people that will not understand me because of my accent. But I have to let that go, because there are many others that they pay a little bit more attention. They tune in a little bit more because of the accent, and then they can take out much more because of that.
So brilliant. So brilliant. We don't want to be vanilla, right? We embrace our differences. Scrappy is the new perfect, and your accent's gorgeous. I don't have any problem with it. But those who do have an accent, who may be conscious about that, embrace it. I love that you said embrace it, because right when you get out there on stage, face the elephant in the room and just say it. So get a laugh out of it, say it, get it off the table. So that's not in people's heads all the way through and they don't catch a thing that you're saying. Walk out there, start talking, and then say, my message is important enough to me to stand up here imperfect and get my message out to you, right? Just face that straight on, because if people are going to think it, get it out of the way so they can just put that aside and hear the actual message. So thank you for opening up that dialogue, because that's so important. We always try to hide our flaws, and that makes us like everybody else. It makes us unrelatable to our audience, right? Or even the high achievers that we're speaking with today, we all have our thing, whatever it might be. And that needs to be something memorable, not something hidden. And you said it, right? You know, the woman with the big hair, or or the woman with the accent. Oh, yes, I know exactly who you're speaking about. Versus if you would have erased your accent, which can be done, which I think would be a shame. Or if I, cut my hair really short because it's just too much, I guess we'd have to find another way to be identifiable.
Yes.